Ohio.
Omsk, one of the largest cities of Russia, located on confluence of Irtysh and Om, large near Pirik to the section, sharp, Kultaniperate to the section, sharp, Sportive Niperate to the section, sharp, and Promisaniperate to the section, sharp, the center.
City of Labor Glory.
The million-strong city minus 1,139,897 people.
2021.
The Siberia's second most populated and ninth in Rossipiparity to the section, sharp.
Large transport hub.
From the west on the east through the city there passes the railway Trans-Siberian Railway, and from the south on the north, the navigable Irtysh River to the section, sharp.
It is founded in 1716. Officially received the status of the city in 1781.
Since 1935, the administrative center of the Omsk region.
The decree of the President of the Russian Federation of July 2, 2020 to the city gave the rank City of Labor Valor.
Etymology. The name, from a Gadronym Om, it is founded in 1716 as fortress at confluence of the Om River with Irtysh, and the Omsk jail is called.
Since 1782 the city of Omsk.
Gadronym Om is interpreted from language of the Barabinsk Tatars, Oms, silent.
General information.
The location of Omsk was of great importance since the most ancient times. Here settlements and burial grounds of the few developed people living with the 6th millennium BB till the 13th century AD were located.
Pass to the section, sharp history. In the 17th century the need for the Russian city for the mouth of Om was so big that about its basis repeatedly asked the Tsar.
Omsk by D. Because in 1716 as the fortress protecting the southern borders of the state was mortgaged. The city gained a main development in the 20th century. At domination of White Army under command of the Supreme Governor of Russia A. 5. Kolchak. 1873-1920. Was the capital of the Russian state in 1919-1920, significantly extended in days of the Great Patriotic War, when here many plants were evacuated from the European part of Russia, and before disintegration of the Soviet Union it was known as Garden City, the city of youth, the city of science. Starting with the 1990th, the situation in the city began to worsen, and in media, and the internet too, it is quite often created negative obrazperit to the section, sharp in culture.
Omsk is the large cultural and sports center of Siberia. Here vigorous theatrical and exhibition activity is conducted, a large all-Russian and international festival period to the section, sharp, are carried up.
There passes the Siberian International Marathon, the international hockey tournaments, the all-Russian equestrian sport competitions and so forth.
Pass to the section, sharp.
Physiographic characteristic. Omsk is located in the south of the West Siberian Plain in the southern suburb of a forest steppe zone on the place of confluence with Irtysh of the Om River in 150 km from border with Kazakhstan.
It occupies the river valley.
Floodplain, the first and second Nadpo, many terraces and radical coast. The first Nadagovi terrace of a right bank of Irtysh passes with a gentle slope to the second. Here the most part of the city is located. To the east and the northeast of Haitakru, there is the second Nadpo terrace and the beginning of the water separate zone divided into two parts by the valley of Om. The area is flat, the monotonous relief is slightly broken by lowering small flats upon Priakni ancient hollows of a drain and mains.
The lower mark of height is above sea level located in the floodplain.
69 m. Top on the water separate plateau. 124 m. In city boundaries there are two large rivers, numerous small rivulets and also lakes and channels. Extent of Irtish in the metropolitan area of more than 25 km. The maximum day length minus 17 hours 21 minutes, minimum minus 7 hours 10 minutes. During solstices. The prevailing direction of wind in the winter, southwest, in the summer, northwest. The largest speed of wind is noted in the winter and in the spring, that is the reason of frequent blizzards and dust storms. Soils of the city in 1941 were the following. Grey forest Ocelotli, Chernozem's ordinary, meadow and Chernozem and meadow, Solonetzik soils, malt, alluvial and marsh. However, over time soils change because of various factors, such as change of groundwater level, degradation, salinization and reconsolidation, reduction of power of a humus layer, loss of structure, change of addition of a soil profile and other. Time zone. Omsk is in hour zone Mach +3.
Shift of the applied time concerning UTS is +600.
According to the applied time and geographical longitude, average solar midday in Omsk comes at 13:07. Climate. Omsk treats a moderate climatic zone with continental climate of the forest steppe of the West Siberian belt. It is distinguished by abundance of sunlight. The average duration of sunshine in Omsk, as well as in Yalta, in a year is 22-23 hours, more than in many resorts of the Caucasus and the Mediterranean coast of Western Europe. It is not much less than in Rome. 2362 h. Much more than in Batumi. 1890 h. Or Kharkiv. 1748 h. Average air temperature in January 19.2 C, in July of 18.3 C.
Absolute temperatures in January fluctuate from +4 to
45 C, and in July from +1 to +41 C. The most high temperature in Omsk for the entire period of observations was recorded on July 18, 1940, +40.4 C. The lowest temperature was noted on February 3, 1931. 45.5 by C. The district of Omsk belongs to a zone of insufficient moistening. Average annual temperature, +2.1 C. Average annual speed of wind -2.8 m/s. Average annual humidity of air -71%. The average duration of sunshine in a year is 22-23 hours. Climate of Omsk. The most windy month April, the most cloudy October, the clearest March. Snow cover is highest. 38 cs on average. In February and March, and in May, June the largest probability of emergence of dust storms. Flora and fauna. Vegetation of Omsk reflects location of the city near border of forest steppe and steppe natural zones and also influence of a human civilization. There are no natural woods in the neighborhood of the city. Small rare birch and aspen splittings are removed from Omsk on considerable distance, and to the south from the city across Irtish the woods almost do not meet. Around open acreage are located. In the territory of the city, the cultivated city plants, weed ruderala and fragments of natural vegetation grow. Forest vegetation is concentrated mainly on the outskirts and is generally secondary. The woods are formed generally by a birch of an aspen, povusly with impurity. In a grass Teuthurifines doubtful, a Solonechnic biflorate, a Cowparsnip Siberian, a Rebrapladnik Ural, an Irish Russian, stone bramble, a Vasilistnik small, Ludovic's wormwood, a Vanic land, a meadow grass narrow-leaved and some other dominate.
In the downtown, between the building of Vodokanal and the square of the 30th anniversary of the All-Union Leninist Young Communist League, the oldest tree of Omsk, a white willow,
132 years, grows. In a grass, the trunk makes 5.5 meters in height, more than 10 meters. The willow in 1884 was put in as a nature sanctuary. Other tree long liver grows near the local history museum. It is the Siberian apple tree at which trunk height to branches is 2.3 meters, and corona width -6 meters. This apple tree only remained from the apple orchard which began to be broken at Gasford. The tree was planted in 1889 by the member of the Geographical Society Pavel Yasharev, who brought from Transbaikalia a grade, new for the time, the Siberian apple tree. The garden was demolished in the 1970th years. In honor of it, the Yablanka shop, known to residents of Omsk, and subsequently a stop of public transport, was called Pack of City Pigeons. In Omsk there are a lot of poplars. Atypical for Omsk, nevertheless oaks can meet. In particular, in the park which is near the Omsk State Agricultural University and in the square of the Omsk State Technical University, and also opposite, near the Palace of Creativity. More than 20 years oaks grow in the 5th residential district of the left bank and also in the territory of the Lenin district on street 10th Cheredovaya. In Omsk there is a natural park within the city, the Birds Harbor. In the city and vicinities 288 bird species are noted and 12 more demand refining. Among stray types, a curly pelican, a black stork, a flamingo, an eagle owl and a black crow, and also various thrushes. Different types of toadstools, herons, larks, whitetails and skates, titmices, various duck, the moon and falcons, seagulls, pigeon, Bekasovia and plover birds nest or flyby through the city. Flyby through Omsk Skopa, the sea eagle Belikvost and Sapson, can fly a steppe eagle, and the golden eagle nested in the past. Settled quails, partridges and black grouses in the past meet, perhaps the hazel grouse also nested. Sorghum are provided to Vernovi by daws, rooks and grey ravens. Also the raven nests and winters in the southern forest steppe of Prioritishch. On city streets blue rock pigeons and sparrows are numerous. Sometimes on the carriageway near green zones ducklings run up, forcing motorists to stop and wait until baby birds are driven away to the safe place. In June 2016 in the Birds Harbor, redbook swan ship Uni, probably being flight from Maryanovsky district of the Omsk region, were noticed. Environmental protection. Pine ordinary, landed during reconstruction of the square around Bortsov Revolutsai Square. Old Kirovsk. The ecological situation in Omsk is connected with the size of the million-strong city and availability in it a large number of large-scale productions. In the past it was adverse. Since 2011 the rating of ecological development of the city considerably rose, and by 2014 from outsiders Omsk turned into one of leaders. It became result of large-scale modernization of many large-scale productions, including the Omsk Petroplant, TX-11 and so forth. If before the greatest air pollution was noted in Sovetski district concentrating the main productions, then in February 2016 the level of impurity of air in it became low, as well as in Leninsk and October districts. Problem were Central and Kirov districts with the most heavy car traffic. Extent of pollution of the Omsk rivers, Irtysh and Om, considerably does not change. It is forbidden to bathe in them over the last 10 years. While industrial drains become more eco-friendly, city storm collectors allow waste, including diesel fuel and oil products, into the rivers. Other source of pollution are numerous dumps in the water protection zone and the landfills deprived of water treatment constructions. The lack of federal financing of clearing infrastructure cannot be covered with the city budget, therefore the problem remains. Some improvement of quality of the Irtysh water is connected generally with the economic downturn, reduced power of the city enterprises and crisis of the water transport.
And also strengthening of control of extraction of sand from a coastal zone and clarification of the water area of the river from the sunken vessels and cars with coal which got to Irtysh during railway accident.
The Krasnogorsk water engineering system on Irtysh can improve a situation, however after bankruptcy of ENPO most of its construction stopped. Besides, as a result of construction of a dam there can be a threat of flooding of a number of ecologically dangerous objects, washout of the coast, flooding of numerous housing estates and a subtime of water in the mouth of Om. Twice a year there takes place clear out of the city with participation of citizens. However, problems with the municipal solution of garbage questions accompany Omsk long ago. The garbage for months lies on many streets, especially in the private sector, garden and garage cooperatives. In a number of places the whole quarters of old apartment houses of barrack type become dumps as the garbage is not exported from them for years. The city system of collecting and export of municipal solid waste and also a control system for it are inefficient, and as a result after liquidation of unauthorized dumps over time the garbage appears on the same place again. In April 2014 two polygons, Lenin and Kirov,
accepting 80% of city garbage lost licenses but continued work illegally. Actions of municipality were directed to avoiding accomplishment of the judgment on recultivation of dumps instead of solving the rising environmental problem.
In April 2016 the last, ecologically dangerous polygon was closed in the village of Nedovedino, and at the same time long ago of the garbage collapse, predicted by ecologists the city has no specific solutions. Since 1967 before the collapse of the USSR Omsk carried the status the garden city, however, in the 1990s because of Massachusetts cutting of trees the status was lost, and dissatisfied residents of Omsk thought up to it the comic status, city stop.
Historically the city appeared in conditions when more than 60% of green plantings should be replaced new.
Serve as the reasons in the basic Massachusetts aging of the trees planted in the middle of the 20th century, disorder of a system of maintenance and reproduction of green plantings and poor city budget. Nevertheless, control of problem areas was strengthened, and gardening gained steam, including with involvement of public organizations and certain initiative citizens.
For the beginning of 2016 the total area of green plantings is more than 13,000 hectares or 15 m.
The people of public green plantings. In the last parameter Omsk exceeds federal regulation. Also serious problem of the city is the dust spreading together with dust storms and containing many harmful substances including lead. History. The plan of the Second Omsk Fortress. Not earlier than 1782. Need of the Russian fortress for the mouth of Alma arose for the foreign policy reasons connected with the steppe nomadic people, in particular, with Oirata, which threatened boundary volists of the Tarsky County and lands Barabi. After a successful campaign of the Tarsky voivode Princess N. Gagarin with the Ratsky nomads diplomatic relations were improved, and those asked to found the city on Ulm for ensuring protection them Kachevia from the East Mongolian dynasty Altanhanov. Oirata promised to pay Yasakin to defend the city together with Russians. However, soon the situation changed. In the 1621st, the 1630th years in view of centralization of the power, the dependence of Oirat on Russia weakened. They entered the Dungarian Khanate, enhanced the power and again began to threaten Tarsky volists. Now the Russian voivodes brought up a question of city building on Ulm. It was connected including with protection of barter with East merchants and Selidabik, which were conducted on steppe lakes Yamashevsk, Kryakovsk and others. The long way from Tur to Yamashevsky lakes was inconvenient without any intermediate point, as in case of swimmings behind salt, and pursuits of Kalmyks during their ruinous attacks. In 1627 the Tarsky voivode Prince Bayu 1. Tchaikovsky persistently asked the country leaders to base the Omsk jail. Tarsky Kosik the head Nazary Zhidovsky surveyed the place of future jail and found that it is suitable for plant. At last the new Tarsky voivode Kasarev in 1628 asked the Tsar to allow construction of a jail again in the mouth of Ulm, without which it was impossible to climb Irtish. At last on August 31, on September 1628 Mikhail Fyodorovich gave the relevant decree. However, foreign policy and internal political problems of Russia did not allow to perform it quickly.
Stepan Razin's revolt, the Russian-Turkish War of 1672-1681, the Crimean campaigns and other events disturbed the device and defense of the southern Siberian borders, on which situation constantly changed how actions and fight the Dzungar with the East Mongolian dynasty developed.
When the situation in the steppe became rather quiet, construction of a jail was postponed for indefinite time again.
However, need of Oirat in commercial relations with Russia and development of trade with it showed need of an intermediate point for a way between Yamashev and Terra even more clearly.
The situation changed only at the beginning of the 18th century, when the Russian conquest of Siberia became more active. As Piatai paid much attention to geographical researches in the south, expeditions of the time combined socio-political problems and problems of scientific research. Iwan Buckholz's expedition, which purpose was search of ore and gold deposits, opening and studying of trade ways to India and China, and also city building on the Irtish River, became one of such.
The Siberian governor Matvey Gagarin, believing that around the city of Yarkand occupied by Oirata on Amudarya there are rich gold mines, was the main initiator of an expedition.
The economic difficulties which followed the Russian-Swedish War served as a weighty argument for benefit of an expedition.
The Colonel Iwan Buckholz, with the team of officers and soldiers of Preobrazhsky and Moscow regiments, and also hastily collected in Tobolsk and other Siberian cities of recruits and handicraftsmen, left Tobolsk on the south across Irtish in July 1715.
In November the expedition reached the Yamishevsky Lake and constructed fortress there. However, Zanhars regarded it as infringement of the lands and, having taken it in a siege, in 3 months forced Buckholes to leave the fortress, then they destroyed. With a remaining balance of the group which endured hunger and diseases, Buckholes departed to the mouth of Alm and mortgaged new fortress here. According to the Omsk historian Evgeny Nikolaevich Ovseev, date of this event should be considered on May 4, 5, 1716 on Old Style. In 1768 the second new city fortress on the right coast of Alm was mortgaged. Palace of the Governor-General. In the 19th century Omsk became the administrative center of the Akmola region and the West Siberian, and then steppe Governorate General covering an essential part of western Siberia and the north of modern Kazakhstan. In Omsk residences of the military governor of the Akmola region and the Governor-General of Western Siberia were located. From 1850 to 1854 in the Omsk jail the writer F.M. Dostoevsky sat. The writer described the impressions of the conclusion in the book Notes from the Dead House. Because thus Omsk began to be related to Dostoevsky, at the beginning of the 21st century the government of the Omsk region decided to appropriate his name to the Omsk State University. From 1854 to 1868, the administrative center of area of the Siberian Kyrgyz. Russians originally called Kazakhs Kyrgyz. The only city in Siberia and Asia which had the right to hoist national flag of the Russian Empire, along with St. Petersburg, Moscow, Warsaw, Helsingfors and Tiflis. Dostoevsky in 1854 so spoke of the city. Omsk, disgusting small town. There are almost no trees. In the summer heat and wind with sand, in the winter a snowstorm. I did not see the nature. Small town, dirty, military and dissolute extremely. I speak about the black people. If do not find people here, I would die absolutely. In 1914 building of management of the railroad of forces of Austro-Hungarian prisoners of war began. In 1915 the Omsk water supply system was open. Omsk in the years of civil war. In the years of civil war Omsk was the residence at first of the Provisional Siberian government, led by Pyotr Volогодsky. Then the Provisional All-Russian government, led by Nikolai Avsentiev. Then the Russian government of the Supreme Governor Admiral A.5. Kolchak. Thus, during civil war Omsk was the official capital of the Russian state and White Russia. In November 1919 offensive transaction of the 3rd and 5th Armies of the Rukha East Front was made that led to falling of leadership of White Russia in Omsk. In 2011 according to the decision of the Governor Peleshayev in the building of the mansion of the merchant Batyshkin, nowadays Urtovskaya embankment, where Kolchak moved from the house of the Cossack Colonel 5. 1. Volkov. Atamanskaya Street, 3. Nowadays Pushkin Street, 74. After the election on a post of the Supreme Governor, the Center of Studying of History of Civil War was open. Soviet period. The Soviet power was finalized in 1920. In the summer of 1921 there was an event which had a decisive impact on cultural and economic life of Omsk. Functions of the administrative center of Siberia passed from it to the city of Novonikolayevsk, future Novosibirsk. And there, but not in Omsk, the main literary forces began to concentrate. In the fall of this year the city was left subsisted and Soviet Siberian newspaper editorial office.
Material difficulties of the first years of the new economic policy badly affected many cultural institutions of Siberia.
Removed from the state budget, they were generally closed because of a lack of financing. In February 1922 the Omsk Prolekot, and with it in its a crafty theatre was closed. On August 14, 1930 the city of Leninsk is combined with the city of Omsk. On April 10, 1933 the city of New Omsk was combined with the city of Omsk. The decree of Presidium of the Supreme Council of Rusfers of March 20, 1947, Omsk was allocated in the independent administrative center with the special budget and referred to category of cities of Republican subordination Rusfers. On June 3, 1958 the status was cancelled. The Great Patriotic War radically changed life of the whole country. For Rear Omsk it became not only time of losses, but also time of formation and development.
These years its intellectual and industrial potential sharply grew. To Omsk about 100 industrial enterprises and with them thousands of people were evacuated from a frontline strip. All material and human resources of area were aimed at providing the front. The city turned into a smithy of weapon and military equipment. The Omsk plants released planes, tanks, mines, radio stations, riflescopes and field glasses. In Omsk there were a design office and the plant of skilled aircraft construction where outstanding domestic designers A.N. Tupolev S.P. Korolev and others worked. Since military years development of the Omsk giants of the industry began, such as engine building enterprise of P. 1. Baranov, Elektrotokprober plants of N. Chi. Kazitsky, future consolidation, Weeds also others. These years in Omsk the tire plant, cord factory were constructed. War left the mark in the form of bulks of the factory body in the downtown. On the outskirts of Omsk there were new industrial regions, Kord and Kokolovsky settlements, Baranov's settlement appeared. In the years of war Omsk became the center of forming of military connections. The Omsk region sent about 287,000 people to the front, 144,000 from them did not return. For courage and courage tens of thousands of residents of Omsk were awarded with awards and medals. Among winners there are 136 heroes of the Soviet Union, 33 complete gentlemen of awards of glory. More than 3,500 workers and engineering employees are marked out by government awards. Several thousand were handed the medal for valorous work in the Great Patriotic War. In 1948 Massachusetts gardening of the city began. In October 1953, at a joint meeting of Executive Committee of the Omsk City Council and Omsk City Committee of the CSU, the address to residents of Omsk was accepted. Let's make Omsk the Garden City. And in 1956, for the achieved success in gardening and improvement, the city of Omsk was awarded with the diploma of the first degree and the chairman of the Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies N.
Rozdestvenski, a big gold medal of the All-Union Agricultural Exhibition. In 1979 in Omsk the consolidation, Omsk Agroprom was created. In Leninsky district the Pool Avant-Garde is put in operation, the tourist hotel complex was open, the evening Omsk newspaper appeared. Present. Commemorative carrying on the 300th anniversary of Omsk. The economic crisis which covered the country after the collapse of the USA negatively affected city economy and the region in general. Considerable recession of industrial output was observed, amounts of construction fell and unemployment rate grew. Administrative territorial division of Omsk was in the mid-90s changed. On December 18, 1996 the Central Administrative District in borders of the Kubyshev and Central Districts of Omsk was formed. On May 21, 1997 the decision of the Omsk City Council formed Sovetski Administrative District in borders of Sovetski District and a considerable part of Pervomaysky District. A part of Pervomaysky District was included in structure of the Central Administrative District. At the same time Kirov, Lenin and October districts were renamed into the Kirov, Lenin and October administrative districts.
An effort went to it for creation of conditions for development of territorial public self-government. The city of Omsk is for the first time awarded the diploma of the International Forum, Megapolis Ecoxy Century, of the first international review competition, the best city of the CIS.
Administrative districts. 1. Perovsky. 2. Lenin. 3. October. 4. Soviet. 5. Central.
In terms of the administrative territorial device, the city has the status of the city of regional value in which limits the municipal unit in the status of the city district. The city of Omsk with the only settlement in its structure is formed.
Administrative division. Till 1995 Omsk was divided into 7 areas. Lenin, Kubyshev, Central, Kirov, October, Mayday and Soviet. After reorganization of areas, Mayday and Kubyshev districts were divided and abolished, and territories departed to other areas. The territory of Pervomaysky district was distributed between the Central and Soviet districts, and Kubyshev was divided between Lenin, October and Central districts. After this reorganization areas became districts. The city of Omsk is divided into 5 administrative districts. Urban administrative regions. Intracity territories. Administrative and territorial units. The modern municipal coat of arms was chosen within several years and was approved on April 16, 2014 by the decision of the Omsk City Council. It represents the historical option given to Omsk by Catherine II. Some residents of Omsk on social networks criticized its symbolism, believing that such coat of arms means that in Omsk there is nothing except a brick fence. However, this opinion was criticized, in turn, by specialists in the field of heraldry who highly appreciated the coat of arms for its laconicism, an unconditional benefit in comparison with the verbose coats of arms with a big heap of figures. Here the symbol capacity as the city was based as the fortress, as the center of the Siberian defensive line, heraldic it is described so. In the silver field dark red Muravani black a wall with small triangular bastions.
The board is topped with the gold tower crown about 5 teeth surrounded on a hoop with a gold laurel wreath and surrounded with a tape of an award of the labor red banner.
Shatar Sateli.
Standing on the marble basis Fyzilia Petrovsky times with Bajinki and the Siberian Cossack of Ekaterina's times with a musket and a checker. Motto.
It is the main fortress, is traced by silver on the dark red tape twisting gold trophies, Precretiony trunks of guns and a halberd. City authorities.
After the collapse of the USSR, the head of local government in Omsk is the mayor elected by inhabitants once in 5 years, a general ballot.
Since 2017 the mayor is elected by City Council of Omsk. Yuri Yakovlevich Shoykit. 1991-1994. Valery Pavlovich Roshchipkin. 1994-2000. Evgeny Ivanovich Belov. 2000-2005. Viktor Filipovich Schreider. 2005-2011. Vyacheslav Viktorovich Dvorikovsky. 2012-2017. Oksana Nikolavna Fedina. 2017-2021. Sergei Nikolaevich Shelest. 2021 NC. Omsk City Council. Representative body of local government is the Omsk City Council, which is elected for 5 years and consisting of 40 deputies. Now the City Council of the 6th Convocation elected on September 10, 2017 works. 20 deputies were elected according to party lists, other 20 deputies on single candidate districts. The chairman of the Omsk City Council since September 27, 2017 is Vladimir Valentinovich Korbut, the party member United Russia. City budget. The budget of Omsk depends on the consolidated budget of the Omsk region. Both budgets are poor and strongly are inferior to that in the neighboring regions, in particular in Novosibirsk. The Omsk region is often compared to Novosibirsk, claiming that to live in the last better. At almost identical taxation, much less finance returns to the Omsk region. The former governor of the Omsk region, Viktor Nazarov, saw for this purpose 2 reasons.
The first consists that the basic tax income in the Omsk region is excises on all products which go to the federal center and is distributed between other subjects of the state.
At 30 billion rubles of excises given for 2014, the area received back only 3 of the billion. Second, many companies are legally registered in other regions while production is located in Omsk, and taxes on them also leave area. As a result, in 2015 the Omsk region took the penultimate place among 85 regions of Russia on growth rates of the budget. Worse a situation only in Mordovia.
In the Omsk region, fall of income was observed, while in all Siberian areas a budget income grew.
So, the budget of Novosibirsk in 2015 made 33.9 billion rubles, and Omsk minus 13.6 billion rubles. The bad economic situation was caused by crisis in the oil industry, which is the main source of income for the city, and in the bank sphere. As a result, on anniversary 2016, the budget of Omsk is adopted with deficiency.
It is planned that revenues of city treasury will be 12.4 billion rubles and expenses minus 13.1 billion.
International activity.
The first consular establishments in the city appeared in the second half of the 19th century in connection with the rough trading activity of foreign citizens in the region.
Prior to World War I of 1914 in Omsk worked 4 European and 1 American consulate. In 1919 in Omsk at the Supreme Governor of Russia Admiral A. 5. Baltic diplomatic missions and consular establishments of the USA, Great Britain, Denmark, France, Sweden, the Kingdom Yugoslavia and also the Japanese Empire and Czechoslovakia worked. In Soviet period, after the Great Patriotic War until the end of the 80th years, the city had the status of Zoto, that is its visit by foreigners, and in certain cases and it was forbidden by the Soviet citizens. However, foreign guests sometimes arrived in Omsk, for example, the Japanese communist and the figure of Komintan Sankatayama, the leader of the Yugoslavian Socialist Party Josip Broz of Tito, delegation from Hungary and other. The ban was withdrawn in December 1990 by the resolution of Council of Ministers of the USSR. Now in Omsk the representation and the Joint Service and Visa Center EMA of Russia work. Also here the Consulate of the Republic of Kazakhstan is located. Many countries of the world opened the visa centers here. Czech Republic, Denmark, Spain, Austria, Bulgaria, Germany, Netherlands, Greece, Italy, China, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Slovenia, Finland, Croatia, Switzerland, Sweden, Estonia, Norway. Partner agreements with many cities of Russia work. Engarsk, Bratsk, Bryansk, Gorno-Altaysk, Kaliningrad, Krasnoyarsk, Novosibirsk, Penza, Stavropol, Ulanud, Chelyabinsk. It is fair also for Simferopol, Russia/Ukraine, located in the Crimea. There are partner cities and in other countries. In Poland it is Gdansk, Lodz and Lublin, in Belarus, Gomel and Minsk, in the Czech Republic, Karlovy Vary, in Bulgaria, Burgas, in Slovakia, Pukov, in Turkey, Antalya, in Kazakhstan, Pavlodar and Petropavlovsk, which are close disposed to Omsk, which at the same time are twin cities. Also the Chinese Kaifeng and Fuzhou and also South Korean Shinju have the similar status in diplomatic sense. Just also Chinese cities of Manchuria and Urumqi are considered as sworn brothers. In Omsk the regional office of IESIC, the international non-profit organization which is engaged in development of youth, the organization of the international training, educational, social, business of projects works. For January 1, 2021 on population the city was in the 9th place from 1116 cities of the Russian Federation. 66% of all residents of the Omsk region live in Omsk. 2021. The Omsk agglomeration totals more than 1.2 million people. For 2015 the city was left by 5.2 thousand inhabitants. However, migration from the CIS countries and settlements of the Omsk region led to the fact that the population of Omsk not only did not decrease, but also grew by 7.4 thousand people. For the last few years in Omsk steady increase in birth rate is noted, and in 2006-2007 the death rate downward tendency was outlined. The number of the dead in 2005, 16725 people, in 2009, 14900 people. In 2009 in Omsk 13100 kids were born, that is 2193 more in comparison with 2005. And in 2015 for the first time in 10 years the mark in 16392 newborns was reached. Residents of Omsk are more senior than working age, make 20% of the population of the city. Average age of able-bodied population of 35.70 years. Average age of men minus 35.49 years, age of women minus 40.20 years. Women on average live 75.6 years, men minus 63 years. Women make 55% of the population of Omsk, and men of 45%. 56 stains are the share of 100 marriages. Average age of pensioners 68.09. Mortality of men at working age is 80%, that is almost 4 times more than death rate of women of this age. Indicators of infantile death rate in Omsk, some of the lowest in Russia. 4.7 at 8.5 countrywide. Also continue to decrease by 1,000 population. To the oldest resident in 2016, 108 years were performed. Representatives of 102 nationalities live in Omsk. According to the All-Russian census of 2010, the prevailing nation are Russians. 88.8%. Among the other people, Kazakhs. 3.4%. Ukrainians. 2%. Tatars. 1.9%. And Germans. 1.3%. Percent are provided from the total number of the population which specified national identity, are most of all widespread. The persons of other nationalities and persons who did not specify national identity, 7% of the population of the city. 58 national and cultural organizations are registered. Aero has their own printing editions. The Tatarsky Mir newspaper, the Akoy newspaper, used for the purpose of promoting of organization activity on revival and preserving of national traditions. Except widespread at Nakaranim, resident of Omsk, resident of Omsk, residents of Omsk, meet also options, residents of Omsk, resident of Omsk, resident of Omsk. Omits, but they are extremely rare. Architecture and infrastructure. Historical building is located on both coast of Om. It is the finished ensemble of Lyubinsky Avenue, Lenin Street. In the city there are practically no buildings higher than 50 meters, in this parameter it one of the lowest million-plus cities. The highest construction in the city is the chimney of Chep-5, 275 meters. Constructed in 1976 and which is in the 20th place in the rating of the highest pipes in the world. Before the television tower of the Omsk Regional Radio Television Center, 196 meters with the antenna, was the highest construction. The highest building is the largest Omsk elevator beyond the Urals located in Old Kirovsk. Its height -72 meters, the two similarly 24-story house. But the highest apartment house in the downtown on the Dobrovolsky Street, in a housing estate of Lastokino, makes only 21 floors. In the central part of the city, 130 monuments of architecture, nearly a half from total number in the city, are concentrated. Not all such buildings have good condition. So, the well-known Omsk House with Dragons, whose history contains more than 100 years, demands restoration and is on the deaf small street far from tourist routes.
Unusual to the Siberian wooden architecture, dragons were taken from an album of the samples Minetti here and located on plat bands and as arms for support of a canopy over a porch. In the past, of a collar and a fence of the house were decorated with carved tongues of flame. The house with dragons demonstrates strong architectural tradition in Omsk of the beginning of the 20th century, available to a people at large. However, now its preserving is given not enough attention, and it can go under demolition because of building of the area.
The same problem concerns also many other monuments of wooden architecture which are destroyed by illegal methods for the benefit of private business. In total in Omsk 6591 apartment houses. For 2016. From them more than 1,000 houses of the first Massachusetts series, including 170 houses of the PC Series 1, 335, a share of the last of housing stock of Omsk, the highest in Russia. Part of them is under repair with strengthening of bearing structures. Omsk is allocated against the background of other cities by the accumulated experience and methods of capital repairs of 5-story apartment blocks. The wear of housing stock exceeds 50%. The considerable part of the city belongs to the private sector. Some areas even in the center are not arranged well. There are no gas and sewerage, dirt roads. Besides, some inhabitants do not pay garbage removal and create unauthorized dumps. According to the program of regeneration of quarters, a part of the private sector, mainly in the downtown, communicates and built up with modern housing or business centers. However, for high-rise construction exists many obstacles connected generally with a lack of finance. Bridges of Omsk connect coast of 2 rivers, large bridges, 10, from them 5 pass over Irtish and 5 over Om. On the Irtish current, that is from the south on the north, there are Yushny Bridge, 2 acceptable railway bridge, Leningrad, the metro bridge of the 60th anniversary of the victory and 60-letiev Lex Bridge. For Om anniversary, Komsomol, Franz, October and railway bridges are thrown. Extent of the Omsk roads is a little more than 1400 km.
The total area of 9.5 molnem.
Of them only 900 km with a hard surface. The Omsk roads drew attention of other regions after the hotline with the president with 5.
Putin. Economy.
Omsk is one of the industrial centers, largest in Russia, the large transport hub. The city is present at various business ratings. So, in 2009 it took the 7th place among 64 cities of Russia on investment attractiveness, according to the Arab magazine. At the same time at the Forbes magazine he took the 21st place from 30. 1 year later Forbes estimated it much above, in total the 6th place. And in particular the magazine delivered Omsk on the 1st place on development of infrastructure, the 4th, on resistance to crisis, the 5th, on social characteristics and noted problem spheres, not comfort of business and especially low purchasing power of residents of Omsk. Industry. Omsk is the largest in the Omsk region and one of the industrial centers, largest in Russia.
In 2013 Omsk took the 5th place in the rating of 250 largest industrial centers of Russia on industrial production, which made 528 billion rubles.
The basis of the industry of Omsk is made by oil processing, petrochemistry, chemical industry, mechanical engineering. Production of the space equipment, armored vehicles, agricultural machinery. The building of the Omsk River Shipping Company in 1940. Here in days of the Great Patriotic War Tupolev's.
Sesk-29. Experimental Design Bureau was placed. and the Space Industry Federal State Unitary Enterprise Polyet Production Association, performing release of the carrier rockets, Roar and Proton-M, and also production of nods for the Russian carrier rockets of new generation Angara is especially allocated large.
Zheskvysokite technology. Earlier, the Omsk modular plant of 5 V. Kubashev makes hydraulic systems for military aircraft, various types of the pump equipment. Omsk plant of civil aviation performs repair and modernization of the aircraft equipment, mainly the Mi-8 helicopter. The aircraft repair enterprise, Motor, performs repair of the auxiliary power plants, AP, for planes and helicopters. Federal State Unitary Enterprise Omskoy Objedinina B 1. Branova releases aviation engines and also the equipment for an oil and gas extraction complex. The Omsk Engine Building Design Office specializes in development, production and repair of small-sized gas turbine engines of civil and military application and also land power units, turbostarter and other equipment. In mechanical engineering, Omsk represents the Omsk plant of transport mechanical engineering, including the former plant Omsk Transmash, which makes and repairs the blades of the Sun and Buratino systems. T-80 tanks modernizes the T-55 tanks, makes tractors and excavators and also turns out metallurgical products. The Omsk plant of the gas equipment makes gas and electric stoves. The instrument making enterprises release military and civil products. Poertish is engaged in production of the radio-electronic equipment. Zeskopsizim. Tzitskogo performs development and production of the radio equipment of different function and also consumer goods. Zesk radio plant of A.S. Popov carries out development and production of the polydirectional mobile protected communication systems and management of special and all technical appointment. And Pomir. Technologies of automation of energy saving. And loudspeaker. Developer of monitoring systems of technical condition of objects of the industry and transport. Omsk Research Institute of Instrument Making is engaged in scientific and productive activity in the sphere of production of devices.
Central Design Bureau of Automatic Equipment develops and releases the equipment of targeting and also medical equipment and consumer goods.
Saturn. The former Omsk electrotechnical plant of Karl Marx, one of leading enterprises of the radio-electronic industry of Russia. Installation of isomerization of the Omsk Petroplant. The enterprises of petrochemistry are provided by the Omsk Petroplant, the plants on production of technical carbon, polypropylene, synthetic rubber and tires. Omsk Refinery, one of leaders in Russia in oil processing amount. 21 million tons in 2012. And on its depth, 83%. The Omsk Shina and Kordian Vostok plants are one of the sites largest in Russia on production of tires, the Omsk Rubber, on production of synthetic rubber. Omsk, the largest in Russia and one of the world's largest producers of technical carbon. The Polium plant. It is put into operation in 2013. Is included into the 3 of the largest Russian producers of polypropylene. In the city, the set of the enterprises of the light and food industry is located. The Omsk Bacon is engaged in production and processing of meat. The dairy plant, Manrozem, belongs to the Wimbledon Company. And the Omsk plant of processed cheese is producing resident of Omsk Processed Cheese Works. The plant of ice cream in Marko, Sladenice and Sladenica confectionaries, the Omsk macaroni factory of Dobrody Works. The plant of pouring of the Omsk mineral water produces the Omsk-1 mineral water. A number of productions of alcoholic beverages works. Siberia and Roser breweries. The last belongs to Jest Sun InBev, releases initially Omsk grades of Siberian Crown beer, Bite beer. The alcoholic beverage plants of Osh and Omsk Vinprom known for Five Lakes vodka. In the territory of the Omsk region 4 combined heat and power plants. All are included into Jest TX-11, the CHEP-2 works in the boiler house mode. And a set of boiler houses are located. The largest Kirov district boiler house is also included into Jest TX-11. The most part of boiler houses is transferred to fixed assets of the municipal enterprise, thermal company, the others are departmental. Since 1996 the exhibition of the equipment, technologies is held in Arms v Omsk. Since 2003 the Agrotechnical Agro-Omsk Trade Fair is annually held. Since 2019 there is a construction and to 2020 the catalytic plant of Gazpromneft is planned to end. Trade and services. Trade and Office Center Festival on the left bank. In Omsk malls of shops with the similar range are formed. So for example, on Lenin Street shops of fashionable clothes, and near the Trade City, shops of household appliances are located. Floor spaces are provided generally in large shopping centers and malls, which more than 70 hypermarkets, supermarkets of Omsk. Federal and regional retail chain stores work. 10 The largest pharmacy chains according to the marketing agency DM Group included the Omsk network, Pharmakopeka. Trade in the markets which in the city more than 100 the general complexity of 3600 trade places increases the share. The large market is located, for example, in the center of the left bank. Low prices and quality products from rural producers attract buyers on the weekend during the provincial fairs, and recently and on weekdays. In the spring less than a third of trade places is empty, but during a summer season they are filled with the summer residents selling vegetables and greens. One of the largest malls in Omsk is the shopping center Continent, which total area is more than 160,000 square meters. The shopping center Omsky, constructed on the project of the street Petersburg workshop under the leadership of Bayer. 1. Zemtsov was under construction more than 10 years and opened in 1984. The shopping center was one of the most known department stores Caesar. It is located on the place of the former central city market in the center of Omsk and represents roofed space through which it is possible to pass through as down the street. In the middle of the building there is a big atrium, and from the top terraces live plants hang down. This building is one of the most recognizable in the city. The base restaurant, which is twice called by the Forbes magazine the first among restaurants of Omsk and recommended for visit. Forbes, June 2007, May 2010. And also the restaurant culture complex connecting restaurants of different formats and one of the most known in the city, A network of Skuratov coffee shops was among the best restaurants of Russia. In 2014 in Omsk 27 hotels and 8 hostels worked on providing tourists with hotels. Omsk was in the last place among million-plus cities. In total for the beginning of 2016 hotel services are provided in 112 places, but only 3 of them have the official status, 3 stars. Ibis Hotel, Beacon and the Tourist located in the downtown. At the same time one of hotels on the qualities can apply for 5 stars, though has no official status. It is Birch 2, in the people known as State Giving on Birch. In Omsk the trend of active opening of hostels and development of small hotel business, but not large hotels, is observed. In 2008 it was going to build at the Birds Harbour a complex of buildings with 4-star hotel, Park Inn, but despite availability of financing, the hotel did not appear. There was also some other large-scale projects. Among them is Hilton Hotel, which remained unrealized. Communication. The telephone city code -3812. Services of stationary telephony are generally provided by the Omsk branch of JESK Rostelecom.
Also IP telephony by the companies Omsk Cable Networks, Irtelecom, Tanked,
Kisksapsib Transtelcom, and others is provided. In Omsk 6-digit phone numbers. Omsk, the largest Russian city in which 6-digit numbering remains. In the city 6 GANs and mobile operators work. Mints, JESK Mobile Telesystems, Beeling, JESK Vimpelcam, Tele, JESK Sibirskaya Sotovaya Svyaz, only 1800 match.
Megafon, Rostelecom and the IUTA.
All mobile operators provide communication 3G.
From the operators providing communication services 4G of Elite, Beeling, Megafon, Mints and Iota Tele.
Internet access provides a number of the companies, including mobile operators, the House, RU, the Omsk Cable Networks, and Rostelecom, which replaced Sibirtelecom.
The Omsk region is among regions where the last company carries out active construction and commissioning of GGON and network.
Optical fiber to the apartment, that theoretically provides to users internet access on speed up to 2.5 bit/page. There is a set of public places with wireless access on Wi-Fi technologies, including city bus station and also some parks. Soviet, the Green Island and the park of the 30th anniversary of Vlex.
From October 2011 to July 2012 as an experiment of Wi-Fi was available in the trolleybuses going along Route No.
67. In April 2016 Wi-Fi appeared in 18 buses of Route No. 24. Transport. River. Historically the first type of transport during a river campaign was based the city. Throughout the history the city was closely connected with the river. The river station built in 1964 stands in the downtown, on the place of the basis of the Omsk fortress. Now Piskartish Shipping Company performs passenger routes on lines Omsk Sailcart through Tobolsk and Khanty-Mansiysk.
Navigation along this route lasts since the end of May prior to the beginning of October. The mechanic Kalashnikov and Homeland ships ply.
In navigation of 2020, the line did not work because of the restrictions connected with COVID-19 pandemic. Today it is one of the few remained river passenger routes in Russia. High-speed lines Omsk, Tevriz and Tevriz, Smolensk are closed in 2014. The high-speed vessels, rising, working at them are stored in the backwater of the Omsk ship repair plant.
Passenger lines of Astachim-Kazy and Astachim-Bolshaya to Bendia, which are served by ANSYS motor ships, and also the Zagvazdino-Tobolsk line at which the Don ship work in the Astachimsky area.
Cargo. The Omsk River Port. It is founded in 1951. Is located within the city on both coasts of Irtysh at its crossing with the Trans-Siberian Railway. In 1858 came from the MAF. The Omsk River Port, the largest transshipment port on Irtysh. In the 1970th years on its share 31% of total amount of loading and unloading works in the Irtysh basin fell. Railway transport. Omsk passenger station, 2008. Thanks to construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway, the city gained additional development. In the city there are railway stations: Omsk Passenger, Omsk Sorting, Omsk Northern, Omsk East, Karbasevo-I, Muskovka, etc. Passenger. Passengers are served in two railway stations of the station Omsk Passenger located in the neighborhood. Omsk Passenger and Omsk Suburban. Before stations, the station square is located. There are signature trains of the Omsk forming. Trains No. 87/88 the Omsk, Novosibirsk direction, 115/116, resident of Omsk, the Omsk, Nizhnevatovsk direction, and Vyugrupny signature train No. 125/126 of the Novosibirsk, Omsk direction, Novy Urengo. Cargo. Air transportation. In Omsk, the Omsk Central Airport, which is in the center of the left bank, works. In the German movie, Russian Miracle, of 1963, it is possible to see how the plane comes and they land over the downtown. Besides, in 30 kilometers from the city, the unfinished airport, Omsk-Fyodorovka, is located. The decree of the President of the Russian Federation of 31.05. 2019 No. 246 about assignment to the airports of names of the persons having special merits before the fatherland. To the Omsk Central Airport appropriated a name of D.M. Karbashev. Till 98 years in Omsk, the airport of local lines. The old airport, from which flights on areas and the nearby cities of Kazakhstan were made, worked. The popularity to it was brought by the movie of 1969 is incompetent. Now the building is operated as shopping center. Within the city, in the October district, there is an airfield constructed in the period of the Great Patriotic War, Omsk Northern. At one time it also accepted charter flights of civil aviation. At the beginning of the old years there were plans of its transformation into the cargo terminal, largest in Siberia, which remained unrealized. City transport. On a left bank of Irtysh there is a bus station from where intercity buses to settlements of the Omsk region and the neighboring regions, and also the international flights to Kazakhstan. In particular to Kokshetau, Petropavlovsk, Pavlodar, etc. And to Kyrgyzstan depart. In the city land means of transport are actively operated. 50 bus, 8 trolleybus and 6 tram routes. For April 2020. And also share taxis work. Tram lines work in the city poorly. According to the Master Plan of Development of Omsk, considerable development of tram lines both on left and on right river banks Irtish is expected. Public transport transports only 35–40% of passengers, and the rest is the share of private carriers, among which there are a lot of the illegal, not paying taxes. In 2016, with illegal immigrants fight is conducted, there was a necessary legislation, and it is expected that by 2017 the city will begin to receive missing taxes.
Current public transport is 30 rubles cash payment and 25 rubles non-cash. That is one of the lowest if to consider a situation in the large cities of Russia.
Test 29 according to new rules of the Organization of Passenger Traffic for informing passengers in insides of public transport, the business card of the passenger enterprise with phone numbers by which it is possible to address with complaints or offers, and where data of the driver specified is placed.
Subway.
In Omsk, in an unfinished state, there is a subway which became well known thanks to the only station built-in designs.
Motor transport.
Through Omsk there passes the federal highway Irtish.
Highway.
Vertical/Irtish.
The former M.
Chelyabinsk, Kurgan, Petropavlovsk, Omsk, Novosibirsk. Also Omsk, Maykapchigi.
Route M.
Through Cherlik and further across the territory of Kazakhstan, going to Pavlodar and Semipalatinsk. The route P Omsk, Tyumen, the road Omsk, Tera and road Omsk, Sidelnikovo. Small entrepreneurship. For the beginning of 2009 in Omsk, more than 66,000 subjects of small and medium business, number occupied in which exceeds 163,000 people, were registered. For entrepreneurs, the city exhibitions, innovations of year, and Omsk brand work. The Municipal Center of Support of an Entrepreneurship renders information and consulting services on matters of law, taxation, financial accounting and 2 other questions. Nevertheless, the entrepreneurship in Omsk is in decline.
Opinion attribution is necessary. Poor control and lack of real support of business led to ruin of many small and average entrepreneurs since 2007 till present.
In Omsk it is extremely difficult to get the construction license, on it 3–5 years can leave. Monitoring bodies such as fire, land control and so forth, are accented only on business punishment. Strongly overestimated lease and tax payments for the earth are made business by economically inefficient.
Besides, the head of Association of Development of an Entrepreneurship Vadim Morozov notes the disloyal attitude of officials towards businessmen and excessive politicization of economy, an unauthoritative source.
Also, the tendency to receive more money without investment in the culture of consumption of new goods is noted.
After the emergence on the market comes many companies aimed only at generation of profit. It is followed by dumping wave, and then falling of a consumer interest when the new goods lose value.
So happened, for example, to a paintball. Healthcare. Physicians in the city are trained by the Omsk Medical Academy. There are education centers of post-qualifying education. Nevertheless, today in city healthcare deficiency of local therapists, pediatricians and neurospecialists. Among a medical personnel constantly there is a rotation, but there is no Massachusetts outflow from public service. The most part of high-class specialists works in the state system, in time of advising patients in private clinics. The sphere of the state medicine is gradually modernized. By 2009, the service of ambulance received 80 new Gazelle ambulances equipped with the modern equipment, complete providing with necessary medicines, and 2 new substations that made it one of the best in Siberia. Also in 2009, the work on installation of the multi-channel telephone communication in all polyclinics of the city, allowing to register in acceptance to phone specialist, was completed. In Omsk, 150,000 operations a year, from them 15,000 high-tech are performed. In a year, doctors accept 21 million visits. Also here, one of 4 medical institutions of Russia where do operations on correction of a floor is located. In the city, large private clinics, such as Ivromed, Ultramed, Naremed, 216 and others work. For a row of years among citizens, measles cases are not registered. In 2008 and 2009, any case of diphtheria was not registered. In 2015, 2,000 cases of various oncological diseases were revealed, but growth of the revealed cases is connected with improvement of technologies, but not aggravation of a situation. The number heavy in deaths, on the contrary, in Omsk decreases. The municipal oncological clinic has modern equipment and highly qualified personnel. Rehabilitation of patients is carried out to Sanatoria Oasis, working by the principle of public and private partnership. In Omsk, the centers of an animalotherapy work. At a hippodrome there takes place rehabilitation by means of horses, in the center of a canisterapia et Pau de Frant. By means of dogs, and in future zoo center door at summer, except dogs it is going to attract also rabbits, birds and turtles. Science and education. 46 libraries which are visited every year by about 50 residents of Omsk, including children's computer library, unique for Siberia, work in the city. The largest of them, the Omsk State Regional Scientific Library of A.S. Pushkin, located in the downtown near the metro bridge and the station of the unfinished subway called in her honor. Board of the Educational Project, the third capital project on the building of the mansion of the Colonel 5.1. Volkov. In 2016, to the 300th anniversary of the city, in the city, the Educational and Information Project, third capital, devoted to the history of civil war, was implemented. The project is directed to promoting of the objects of cultural heritage in Omsk connected with the history of civil war and initiated by the member of the Federation Council of Federal Assembly from the Omsk region A1. Polushko, and opened by the head of the organizing committee of the celebration of anniversary of Omsk Minister of Culture 5. R. Medinsky. Primary and secondary education. Since 2004, the main problems in the sphere of preschool education were connected with the shortage of places in kindergartens. With the professional orientation purpose, annually for seniors and parents, the City Information Fair, to you, young, is held. At schools there are social teachers, and in 109 of them psychologists work. Each school of Omsk is connected to the internet, has the computer equipment. In December 2008 there began work the Resource Center of Informatization of Education, which renders consulting and methodical and information help to teachers of the city of use of information technologies in educational process. In 2013 the City Methodical Center Perspectiva is created. Emergence of the Omsk Educational Portal, official representative office of Department of Education on the Internet, became an important stage of informatization of a municipal education system. The official sites have 97 schools and 15 organizations of additional education of the city. Additional education in Omsk is various. In 19 children's and youth sports schools, about 18,000 children, 3 of these schools of the Olympic Reserve, are engaged. Children's schools of arts in the city 21, and the 22nd is going to put into operation in 2016. One of them, among Russian, is the largest beyond the Urals. It was open in 2015. The City School of Arts No. 6 was among the best schools of Russia. In addition to schools, circles at palaces of culture work. The general level of additional education in the sphere of art in Omsk worthy.
Besides, work the children's eco center with a zoo and a botanical garden and the regional station of young naturalists located on the left bank. This station conducts the history since 1923 and was created by means of the Omsk scientists, including Piotr Ludovikovich Travert.
In 1999, based on the disbanded Omsk Highest General Command School, twice decorated with the Order of the Red Banner of the name M.B.
Friends of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. The Order of the Government of the Russian Federation revived the Omsk Military School of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation.
In Omsk, 28 higher educational institutions. Higher education institutions. The universities, academies and institutes work.
The first higher education institution in the city of Omsk was opened at the beginning of 1918 based on Imperial Omsk Average Agricultural School and was called the Siberian Agricultural Institute.
Further names changed from the Siberian Agricultural Academy, Sibik, to the Omsk Agricultural Institute, Omaki, and at last, now is the Omsk State Agricultural University of P.A. Stolypin, MGO. The Omsk State University of F.M. Dostoevsky, Omgu, is open in 1974. Training at first was provided only at 2 faculties, Natural and Humanities.
Now the educational institution is called the Omsk State University of F.M.
Dostoevsky. Also now there are 10 body, 14 faculties.
Physical, chemical, computer sciences, foreign languages, historical, culture and arts, the international business, psychology, theology and world cultures, philological, economic and legal.
And also Data Processing Center, the Institute of Lifelong Open Education. ELO. The Center of Pre-University Preparation and Career Guidance. SIP. The Center of Assistance of Employment of Students and Employment of Graduates, 75 departments, about 20 educational laboratories, scientific library, the Omsk Regional Center of Informatization, the Center of Studying of Creativity of FM. Dostoevsky, the Linguistic Center, Association of Graduates, the Museum of Archaeology and Ethnography, the Museum of History, School of Young Specialists at Faculties. Listeners, pupils of comprehensive schools, etc.
In 1920, the medical office at the Siberian Veterinary and Zootechnical Institute, the next year transformed to the West Siberian Medical Institute, was open.
Further, the educational institution was renamed into the Omsk Medical Institute, and since 1994 it is the Omsk State Medical University.
AMU.
Conducting training of doctors to this day.
1930 in Omsk, one more higher education institution of technical orientation, the Siberian Automobile and Road Institute.
See body. Nowadays Siberian Automobile and Road University. Sibadu. Appeared.
The same year in Tomsk, the Siberian Institute of Engineers of Transport in 1961 transferred to Omsk and renamed into the Omsk Institute of Engineers of Transport was formed.
Now it is Omsk State Transport University. OSTU. These higher education institutions provide the needs for specialists in the field of transport, respectively, automobile and railway, and constructions. In 1932 the Omsk Teacher Training College was opened for training of teachers. Now, since 1993, it is the Omsk State Pedagogical University. OMPU. In days of the Great Patriotic War to Omsk, the plants of defensive value were evacuated. Therefore in 1942, based on the Evening Machine Building Institute, evacuated from Voroshilograd the Omsk Machine Building Institute, OMSI, which further became the Omsk Polytechnical Institute, was open. Now it is the Omsk State Technical University. OM2.
In 1950 the Omsk Institute of Physical Culture, nowadays Siberian State University of Physical Culture and Sport,
SIBEF, was open for training of specialists in the field of sports education.
Engineers of the water transport and other specialists water transport workers are let out by the Omsk Institute of the Water Transport.
OIT. Branch Siberian State, the University of the Water Transport. Non-state higher education institutions represent, for example, the Siberian Institute of Business and Information Technologies, SIBIT, which is fully participating in education and scientific work and developing technologies of distance training.
The Omsk Humanitarian Academy and the Siberian Legal University, which entered into a group of 17 best non-state higher education institutions of Russia according to Association of Non-State Higher Education Institutions.
The founder of ENPO, Mostovik Oleg Shishev, considers that education in Omsk is in very state of disrepair.
Changes in the higher education system of Russia affected the Omsk higher education institutions so that the refusal of creation of basic higher education institutions can lead to decline in quality of education, stability and efficiency of all higher school of the region.
In particular, the higher education institutions which do not have such status have no right to conduct a magistracy and a postgraduate study.
The Technical Basic College, formed by a merge of the Omsk State Technical University and Institute of Service in the city, is available. However, for creation of the second humanitarian, by consolidation OMGU and Teachers Training University, there are several problems.
In particular, the status does not guarantee additional financing, provides lowering of financing on related specialties, reduction of teachers of the related directions, and reduces receipts to the region from the federal budget. Consolidation of two large higher education institutions with their different history, cultural traditions and hierarchy leads to the fact that the first several years their efficiency sharply decrease. And the fate of natural science faculties of OMGU is unknown, as they do not fit into a framework of liberal arts college, being a part of the classical university. Science. The Omsk Scientific Center of the Siberian Office of RAS works in the city. It was created in 1990 and coordinates activity of the Omsk scientific institutions subordinated to the Federal Agency for Scientific Organizations. It is Institute of Problems of Processing of Hydrocarbons, branch of Institute of Mathematics of Sobolov, branch of Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science, the Omsk Economic Laboratory of Institute of Economy and the Organization of Industrial Production, the Siberian Research Institute of Agriculture.
The All-Russian Research Institute of Brucellosis and Tuberculosis of Animals, the Siberian Research Institute of Poultry Farming and the Siberian branch of the All-Russian Research Institute of Corn.
Also it includes the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science research establishments located in the Omsk region. Institute of Problems of Processing of Hydrocarbons, Omsk branch of Institute of Physics of Semiconductors, Omsk branch of Institute of Mathematics of Sobolov, Omsk branch of Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography, Omsk Economic Laboratory of Institute of Economy and Organization of Industrial Production. With 2005 it occupies an architecture monument on Marx Avenue, the former building of cloth factory of construction of the 19th century. There the Office of Presidium of the Center, the Museum of Archaeology and Ethnography are placed. The complex research department of regional problems includes physicists, mathematicians and economists that gives good effect in researches.
The Omsk Scientific Center also has the Supercomputer Center of Collective Use, which kernel is the cluster supercomputer on 128 DEC alpha processors of gigaflops with a performance of 190. Research associates of all scientific institutions, RAS and state universities located in Omsk can use the supercomputer.
It became a part of the OKNO network. Education, Culture, Science of Omsk. Uniting computer networks of the leading scientific research institutes and higher education institutions of Omsk. One of the main tasks of the Omsk Science is assessment of already available achievements. Other task, forming of stronger collaboration between scientific research institute and industrial enterprises. The Institute of Problems of Processing of Hydrocarbons of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science successfully interacts with the Omsk Petroplant and Omsk PU, carrying out scientific developments to the industry in the sphere of new grades of technical carbon and catalysts of cracking. Historically, the Institute of Acatalysis in the Ussur was constructed near the Omsk Petroplant.
The lack of any scientific directions necessary for the industry in the Omsk center is explained by central planning at the Soviet power when decisions were made not at the local level.
The institutional environment allowing to turn results of scientific research into developments in Omsk is just formed. A problem is insufficient funding of science in Russia when means in the organizations are enough only for the salary of scientists.
In the conditions of crisis it is impossible to compensate it by economic contracts because the enterprises experience financial hunger too.
Society. The atmosphere in the city develops rather depressive. Omsk is perceived by the humanitarian intellectuals as the cancelled capital. The third capital. That is the city with the well-grounded claim on peculiarity. However, the degradation of the city observed by citizens and lack of significant improvements destroy the atmosphere of a holiday which should accompany 300-year anniversary of Omsk in 2016. For many years among creative and active residents of Omsk, the tendency to move to the permanent residence to other cities is noted.
According to Oleg Shishev, the attitude towards initiative professionals such as that as a result many specialists from Omsk go to the next Novosibirsk and Tyumen.
According to Omskstat, for 2015 the city was left by 5.2 thousand people who moved generally to Moscow and the Moscow region. Street. Petersburg and the Leningrad region, and also Krasnodar Krai, the Novosibirsk and Tyumen region.
Because of outflow of the youth which graduated and also scientists, the general educational level of residents decreases as the migrants coming to their place usually have only secondary education. Businessmen consider that entry into the market and development of an entrepreneurship in other regions are simpler, therefore outflow of business is observed for a long time.
The last 20 years, according to the president of the Omsk Regional Union of Entrepreneurs Tatry Shadrin. Residents of Omsk increase business climate in that region were left, while the situation in Omsk becomes all depressively. The trend of departure of representatives of business elite means not decrease in population of the city, but reduction of number of taxpayers and jobs that as a result badly affects well-being of Omsk. Reasons for refusal of business in Omsk. One of entrepreneurs called the general atmosphere of hopelessness, low demand at the population, and lack of prospects on development. In the rating of the prospective cities of Russia made by the research center of the Superjob portal in 2014, Omsk took the last place. Most of citizens is sure of hopelessness of creation of career here. Residents of Omsk approach city problems creatively. Deep holes on roads in March 2016 were marked with tires, of which made the new road sign, dangerous holes, a new symbol of the centenary of the city, and in general the subject of bad roads found reflection in the menu of one of pizzerias. Politics. Social and political life of Omsk is for many years known for the conflict between the city and regional authorities. More than 10 years there was information war between the governor of the Omsk region Poleshaev and mayors. It began with opposition between Poleshaev and 5D. Roshchipkin. 1995-2001. In 1999, and was followed by a smear company as from the media belonging to the governor. For example, the 12th channel. And from the media belonging or supporting the mayor. Chapters of several newspapers and one TV company made a joint statement in which they accused the governor of violation not only the law on media, but also the constitution guaranteeing freedom of speech. Then in 2003 the governor's conflict with the mayor Belavi 1 began. 2001-2004 come to the end with change of the mayor. New mayor Schreider 5 F 2004-2012 originally came with full support of the governor. Nevertheless, in 2010 information war was again developed. A number of pro-governor's media tried to obtain resignation of the mayor. At a press conference on December 1, 2010, Viktor Schreider said that he does not intend to take part in it. According to other version, information war began in November 2009 after the primaries of the Omsk office of United Russia Party, but prerequisites were even in the summer 2009. As a result, all information war came down to a game of politics. 5. Schreider as a result replaced the mayor's post to the place of the deputy in the State Duma, and the acting mayor Visvatov T.A. was appointed to its place. In 2012 the governor of Omsk, permanent from Soviet period 50. A. Poleshaev resigned. Viktor Nazarev, who was earlier holding the CEO's post in KIST Gazprom Marigingaz Omsk, was appointed to its place. Also this year underwent early. In connection with resignation of previous
elections of the mayor, and the United Russia Party member Vyacheslav Dvorikovsky, who held a post of the chief engineer of the Omsk and Pomostovic earlier, was elected the new mayor.
Information war continued. Its next round was tied during the hotline with the president by 5. Putin, when the resident of Omsk complained that cannot get on acceptance to the Omsk mayor, and Putin publicly called Dvorikovsky pig. In March 2016, at the air show which brought together more than 100,000 viewers, Nazarov ignored the mayor.
The correspondent of BB Elena Yurova noted that the city's mayor on this action was deprived of the right to a performance and any thanks, while thanks were long brought to the governor.
It turns out so. For bad roads and tidy snow dumps, we beat the mayor with the poor budget. And we celebrate holidays, any shows and pleasures actually without the representative of municipal authority elected residents of Omsk. Here all monasteries and applause to the head of the region. On action the trend, the fashionable tone set still by the former governor Leonid Peleshayev, separation of the city and area accurately appeared. Though in the conditions of poor budgets, Nazarov and Dvorikovsky, on the contrary, would have to work in one sheaf. According to Vyacheslav Dvorikovsky, information war is necessary to people in whose interests to weaken both the city and regional power, while both power already successfully cooperated in the problem resolution of kindergartens.
On April 30, 2016, during a call of prankers of NTV television channel, the governor of the Omsk region, Viktor Nazarov, sharply criticized Dvorikovsky for divergence concerning the city and unwillingness to accept the help in crucial municipal tasks.
At the same time, Nazarov emphasized that normal interaction, without war, with the mayor is impossible even at mutual aspiration to it. Massachusetts media. The first telecast in Omsk took place in 1954.
In 1955, for construction of a television center, the land plot in the territory of Agricultural Institute of S.M.
Tirav was allocated.
The television tower of the Omsk Television Center was made in 1955 at the Chelyabinsk plant of metalwork.
Its height together with the antenna is 196 meters, and the total weight of a tower minus 172 tons. Since 2012, the Omsk Regional Radio Television Center, ORTS, conducts on-air broadcasting in digital DVB-T format. From the Omsk Television Center performs broadcasting the State Broadcasting Company, Omsk, VRR branch. Programs of State TV and Radio Broadcasting Company Omsk go on the air of TV channels Russia-1, Russia-24, and on a wave of Radio of Russia. Also in the territory of Omsk, local TV channels, Jest State TV and Radio Broadcasting Company Omsk. The 12th channel. NTV Scene T at 3. Promotion. Until January 18, 2021, Antenna 7 work. The service of cable television is started at operators of KIST Company, Air Telecom, Cascade, Multinex, Omsk Cable Networks, Speed, Adverse Service, Tank Western Siberia, Ditch, Beeline, Minsk TV and other. A number of local radio stations works, broadcasting of some all-Russian radio stations is provided. See the complete list in article of radio station of the Omsk region. Andrei Dobrev estimated the level of the Omsk journalism as quite good. In the city 23 confessional directions are registered. The 85th is registered religious organizations. The largest cult constructions, Assumption Cathedral. 1891-1898 of construction, it is restored in 2007. Krestvozovinsky Cathedral. Years of construction. 1865-1870. And Siberian Cathedral Mosque. Years of construction. 1989-1997. The largest and influential organization, the Omsk and Taurian Diocese of Russian Orthodox Church. On reform of 2011 enters the Omsk Metropolitanate. The first Orthodox church was built at the basis of the Omsk fortress in its center. It was called in honor of Sergei of Rodinez and appeared either in 1717 or in the 1743rd. In 1770 it was sorted because of decay.
In 1769-1773 construction of the first stone temple, Resurrection Cathedral, in which Fyodor Dostoevsky prayed, was conducted, christened Mikhail Vrubel, and read the burial service over Lyuboka.
Lyubov Gasford. Here the unique iconostasis and Christian religious objects donated by Catherine II was located. Before construction of Assumption Cathedral, it was the main temple of the city.
In 1927 the Resurrection Cathedral was turned into club and library, and in the late 50s demolished.
In 2016, to the 300th anniversary from the date of foundation of the city of Omsk, the Resurrection Cathedral was restored. In 1833 the Sacred and Nikolsky Cossack Church, which was under construction on donations of Cossacks, was mortgaged. In 1891 the construction of the Assumption Cathedral, which became the main Orthodox church in Omsk, was completed. Many Christian buildings were demolished in 1930, the 1950th years. Because rather large number of Kazakhs and Tatars lives in the city, 6 associations practicing Islam of Sunni sense, and 8 mosques work, including the largest Siberian Cathedral and Mosque Harrison.
Permission to construction in the new settlement at the corner of streets of the Pharmaceutical and Post First Stone Mohammedan Mosque in Omsk was given by the Ministry of Internal Affairs in 1827.
In 1829 construction of the mosque.
The project of the architect A.M.
Skordumov, and the wooden house at it, for coming Sultanov and Rodonashenkov, was completed. Consecration of the mosque took place on February 23, 1830. In 1938 the first cathedral mosque was closed. The building of the mosque in the early 60s is demolished. Two Judaic communities, including the Uniform Religious Organization of Orthodox Judaism of Federation of the Jewish Communities of Russia, the Shouting Hadash, are registered.
New World.
Also officially 3 Evangelic and Lutheran organizations, 2 Roman Catholic, 15 receipts of Christians of Belief Evangelical, Pentecostals, 11 receipts of Evangelical Baptist Christians, and some other faiths work.
Crime.
At the end of the Soviet period the city was occupied by a huge wave of racket. Some cooperatives,
Patent racket mania,
were engaged in it. Racketing accepted Massachusetts character in 1988, systematic fight against it was stopped by the former management of the 8C, and only in 1992 the situation began to change. For the first half of this year 17 criminal groups were liquidated, 3 employee groups of militia are delayed and more than 100 units of firearms are withdrawn. Organized crime was created in Omsk in such degree that criminal clans of the city began fierce fight among themselves, forming powerful criminogenic communities and committing murders, arsons and armed conflicts. Crimes began to assume the increasing scale. Bandits made attempts of deep penetration into economy and direct impact on solutions of city authorities.
On February 29, 1996, at an entrance of the house, the deputy CEO of Omsk Shina Production Association Oleg Chertov was shot.
He was the chairman of the Commission on Check of the Legality of Acquisition of Stocks of the Omsk Petroplant created after murder of the director of Onch Ivan Litskovich.
In 1997, the chief engineer of Roser Brewery Alexander Okremenko ordered murder of the CEO Ivan Bagniuk.
After that, the controlling stake of the successful Omsk beer factory, the largest in Western Siberia, was sold to the Belgian concern Interbrew.
Culture.
One of the main holidays, the City Day, which is traditionally celebrated on the first Sunday of August. Since 2017 it is celebrated on the first Saturday of August. Annually the program of its main celebrations includes more than 100 Massachusetts actions, which participants are about 800,000 residents of Omsk. Other holiday loved by residents of Omsk, New Year. From 2012 to 2015, on the eve of the celebration of New Year, the Interstate Corporation of Development, the CEO I-5 Polyakov, annually built to the left bank the Istam Belavod. In 2014 it was included in the Book of Records of Russia by quantity of ice sculptures, 171 pieces, and in 2016 included many symbols of Omsk. The subway with one station, the unfinished airport, Omsk-Fyodorovka, and so forth. However, on the eve of New 2017 the corporation refused this project. In Omsk large all-Russian and international festivals are held. Annually in days of celebration of the Orthodox Christian Rождество there takes place the charitable Christmas festival of creativity, a winter Christmastide. In the spring traditionally there take place festivals of creativity of talented representatives of the Omsk students, the Omsk Students' Spring. The annual City Festival of Creativity of Children with Limited Opportunities, Overcoming, is devoted to the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Since 1951 the exhibition of green construction, gardening and floriculture, flora, attracting a huge number of visitors, is held. Various city enterprises participate in flora district exhibitions are held. Since 2006 holding the City Flora exhibition was dated for the celebration of the City Day. And from now on the exhibition annually opens on Friday, on the eve of the City Day. Here the Omsk left-hander, the micro-miniature painter Anatoly Konenko works. The theater square, the favorite vacation spot of many residents of Omsk. Within the festive events devoted to the victory in the Great Patriotic War, the City Festival of the choral groups, Love and Life, Russia, with participation of city choirs and ensembles of veterans, as well as the Siberian Festival, Magic World of Origami of Russia, annually is held. In Omsk traditionally there takes place the National Film Festival of Debuts, Movement, which is the main film event of the region.
In 2016 the festival took place for the fourth time and collected more than 200 applications, from which were selected 22 participating. However, in Omsk the film industry, including experienced specialists and the special equipment,
highly professional theatrical actors have almost no work experience in cinema. According to the director Boris Guts, it is possible to shoot good documentary film here, but to work in Moscow much more simply. Omsk becomes the venue of the Kinozvezda of Russia Festival, international festival of documentaries, meetings in Siberia. In 2006 the magazine about culture and art, the Omsk Muse, covering the brightest events in cultural life of the city, is revived. The regional industry show, the Omsk Culture, is annually held. The Omsk poetry is connected with Leonid Martynov, Arkady Kutelov, Pavel Vasilyev's names. Omsk had a strong impact on literary formation of Fyodor Dostoevsky. The Omsk offices of the Russian Writers' Union and the Union of the Russian Writers' Work. The Omsk office of the Production Sharing Agreement publishes the literary almanac Skladkina. Art of the art photo is provided in Omsk by Fromgartsem. 1. Savina 1. Kadrinsky 5. F. Shevernigov 5. Z. Kryaznov N.P. Molgovko S. 5. Names and others. The role movement which arose in Victory Park, where nowadays there passes a traditional festival of military culture, the Board of Siberia, is developed. Military and historical clubs work. Historical reconstruction gained notable development and support of local authorities in recent years. The Anime movement develops. Since 2007 the Omsk Festival of Modern Japanese Music and Animation Dai Festival is held. For representatives of youth subcultures and movements of Omsk the Promotion Festival is held.
In Omsk and area automobile competitions, for example, the Open Cup of Siberia on a drag racing on a runway of the unfinished airport, Omsk Fyodorovka, and annual competitions in an auto sound in the Yaskarusha format on the square at Shopping Mall Continent.
Since 2002 are held. Music. Omsk is the center of musical culture of the region. In Omsk, the Omsk Academic Symphonic Orchestra, Chamber Orchestra, the State Omsk Russian National Choir, the Omsk Brass Band works.
Concerts take place in the Concert Hall of the Omsk Regional Philharmonic Hall and in the Organ Hall.
At the same time, the few Omsk bands managed to become known outside the hometown. The civil defense groups, Pitklaxon 25/17 and the Grotto, are distinguished from them. Omsk is one of the most theatrical cities in Siberia. 14 theaters work here.
Annually since 2008 in June there takes place the International Theatre Festival Academy, causing the international resonance and allowing to show in city boundaries of innovation of the known theaters of the different countries. This festival assigns to Omsk the status of the theatrical capital of Siberia.
There takes place tender of amateur theaters, theatrical spring, in the spring. The Omsk Academic Drama Theatre is the oldest theatre of Omsk, one of the oldest in Russia. It appeared in the 1870th years. In the repertoire of theatre of the classic and modern plays, Wolves and Sheep of A.N. Ostrovsky, nobody writes the Colonel, G. Marquez, M. Gorky's Summer Residence, The Cherry Orchard by A.P. Chekhov, The Glass Menagerie of Tennessee Williams. On the stage of the Omsk Chamber, Fifth Theatre, which appeared in 1990, Anatoly Prodin, Sergei Puskopoulos, Boris Tsaitlin, Marina Glukovskaya, Veniamin Smekhov, Sergei Gryaznov, Alexei Yankovsky puts plays. The Lyceum Drama Theatre became the winner of the Inter-Regional Theatre Festival, Christmas Parade in St. Petersburg twice, and in 2009 became the owner of the Grand Prix of the International Festival of Young European Theatres in France. The Omsk State Theatre of Adol, the actor, Harlequin Mask is one of the oldest puppet theatres of Russia. In its statements for the viewer of the most different age are put. And kids of 2 years, both teenagers and adults. Also he holds the prestigious international festival, On a Visit at Harlequin, to which there come participants from the different countries of the world, including Canada, India, Japan and China. City Drama Theatre Kulyorka. City Drama Theatre, Studio of 50. Yermoliva. Omsk Academic Drama Theatre. Omsk State Musical Theatre. The Omsk Theatre for Children and Youth. Top Theatre. Museums. Availability of the largest restoration center of Siberia and vigorous exhibition activity promote that Omsk is positioned as the cultural center of Russia. In 2009-2014 the city hosted more than 50 regional, capital and foreign exhibitions. Cooperation with many large museums of Russia is conducted. On Lenin Street, one of the museums, oldest in Siberia, the Omsk Local History Museum and also the Omsk Regional Museum of Fine Arts of Master of Arts. Vrubel is located. The Museum of Theatre, the City Museum, Art of Omsk, works. Some museums are devoted to creativity of certain masters, such as Museum Kondratia Belova and Liberev Center. Creativity of the Omsk masters is shown in the House of the Artist. Exposure of the Literary Museum. The Literary Museum of F.M. Dostoevsky is placed in the House of Commandants in the Omsk fortress. It contains one of the most complete collections of materials about life and Sergei Yesenin's creativity in Russia, materials about the Omsk futurists and other writers, in particular about Fyodor Dostoevsky, who was in this building personally. Underground exposure shows careful life of the writer, for example, shackles and clothes. Besides, in the city there are a museum complex of military glory of residents of Omsk. It is located in the former building of the headquarters of the Omsk military district. And the Museum H.C. Omskoye of the region, which is in the historical building of the former Lutheran church of the 18th century of construction. In 2016, opening of the Hermitage Siberia Center, branch of the State Hermitage in the building which before revolution belonged to the Salamandra Insurance Company on Museum Street was planned. Accepted finds and exposures of the Russian art of the 20-21 centuries of the Omsk Regional Museum of Fine Arts of Master of Arts. Vrubel, studio of children's exhibitions and theatre of painting had to be placed here. However, because of failure to meet time constraints of performance of works on reconstruction of the building, summer of 2016 a new general contractor was defined, and opening of the center is postponed for 2019. On November 6, 2019 the Cultural and Educational Center in Omsk began new work, having become the third Hermitage Center in Russia and the first beyond the Urals. Cultural and leisure objects.
Cultural and leisure zones are distributed across the territory of the city unevenly.
Oil industry workers in a northern part of Omsk have the only active cultural and leisure zone on crossing of streets of the world and Himikov. At big population density, other territory of the town of oil industry workers is deprived of such zones. It is planned that it will change with commissioning of the reconstructed Pervomaysky movie theater. The most known site of Omsk Tarsky Gate, which were built from a brick in 1792 and served as a main entrance in one of four bastions of the Second Omsk Fortress. In 1959 they were completely destroyed for one night. Only in 1991 Tarsky Gate were restored on the same base, but with significant changes. Architects made 4 niches instead of 2. Now in Tarsky Gate there is a small museum with an internal ladder. Residents of Omsk like to have a rest in the square near Tarsky Gate and believe what for execution of any desire should be passed under an arch of gate with thoughts of the dream, and then it will surely be performed. During city holidays the area around Tarsky Gate becomes the center of holding festive events and Massachusetts festivities.
Among monuments in Omsk it is possible to note a monument to 5.1.
Leninov work of the sculptor F. Abdurakhmanov. It is established in 1957 at Lenin Square. Downtown, so-called Lenin Hill. The monuments devoted to the writer Fyodor Dostoevsky sitting in the Omsk jail, the ethnographer and the officer of the General Staff of the Russian Army Chokan Velikanov, the Marshal Georgy Shukov, natives of Omsk, hero of the Soviet Union Dmitry Karbyshev and the artist Mikhail Vrubel, and also one more artist of Ermengalda Shakhanovu. On the Avenue of Writers it is possible to see 17 memorial stones devoted to different writers and poets. Also in Omsk there are a monument to children of besieged Leningrad and the monument to home front workers. 18 movie theaters and cinema halls, from which 10 have the equipment for display movies and 2 for display 5D function. The Omsk Circus is reconstructed. The oldest nightclub of the city was the Atlantis Club, opened at the end of 2000. In 2017 it was closed for benefit of more large-format leisure institutions. Across Irtish from the river station walking motor ships upstream ply. Recreation. In Soviet period Omsk carried the title, Garden City, however subsequently Massachusetts cuttings of green plantings led to the fact that residents of Omsk conferred a title on the comic city stub. Nevertheless in the city 7 parks, 48 gardens and squares, more than 60 territories occupied with green plantings including 2 natural recreational complexes, Coastal and East Grove, are located. In the downtown there was a Garden of Pioneers, where one of the Omsk fountains was installed. Subsequently the garden and the fountain were replaced with the reconstructed Assumption Cathedral. The Green Island Park, which is in the center on the right coast of Irtish, is yacht club based on which training in sailing is conducted. In east part of the city, the Central City Recreation Park of the 30th anniversary of the All-Union Leninist Young Communist League. In northern, on the abrupt right coast of Irtish, the Soviet Park is located. There are parks and on the left coast. At an exit with Leningradsky Bridge, the Park of Culture and Rest of a name of the 30th anniversary of the victory, and across the road from it, the natural park, Birds Harbor, is located. Also in the center of the left bank to anniversary of the city work on the park of the 300th anniversary of Omsk is conducted. In 2009 in Old Kirovsk, the Garden of S.M. Kirov appeared. On average in 2005, 13 mechanized attractions of big forms were the share of one Omsk park. Sanitary cutting and updating of green plantings in parks were not carried out from 1991 to 2011. In Omsk, 5 official city beaches. Soviet in the park of the same name, 2 beaches near the building of the government of the Omsk region. The paid central and anonymous beach in the people called by Dynamo. Kirov and May Day, and for 2015 are forbidden to swim in Irtish more than 10 years because of dirty water. There are also 21 wild beaches, including the Kirov nudist beach located on the island on which it is possible to reach only on water. City squares. Planning of the square is made in 1945. The main works on creation of the square are performed in 1949. Since 1985 carries the name Festivalny Square. On July 31, 2010 in the square the sculpture Happiness Birth. In 2011, the Avenue of Fairy Tales is open. It is broken on the place of the former commodity yard of a city branch line in the spring of 1949. In 1956 in the center of the square the Abundant Sphere fountain is installed. Rose as the Cossack garden mortgaged at again constructed Sacred and Nikolsky Cossack Cathedral. In days of the Soviet power carried the names Garden, Profinton, Central Gardens. On July 8, 2011 in the square the monument to Piet and Favronia is open. Sculptor S. Norashev. It is located at Lenin Square. Planning of the square and landing of green plantings are made in 1948. On November 6, 1948 in the square the temporary monument to 5.1. Lenin replaced on April 21, 1957 with a sculpture of the leader of work sculptor F.A. Abdurrahmanev is established. Memorialny Square is broken in 1951-1952 on the place of a small garden. Originally bore a name of the Russian revolutionary A. Maslenikov. In July 1923 at an entrance to the square the monument to the Commune of Paris is established. Sculptor N. Vinogradov. On November 6, 1967 in the square the eternal flame is lit. The square of M. Vrubel. It is located on the left coast of Om opposite to the house of the artist. Before bore a name of P. Vavilav. Since 1939. In the square the sculptural composition meeting is established. Voskresensky Square. It is broken in 1946 on the right river bank after dismantling of the timber building of Gigant Movie Theatre. In Soviet period carried the name Youth. On October 21, 1980 in the Square K. Legate's monument works of the sculptor F. Vyugenko was established. It is demolished in 2001. Vystavotny Square. It is located on the right coast of Om in the territory of the former area of parades ground of the Second Omsk Fortress. The former name of the square, the Garden of Officers. Annually in the square there takes place the exhibition of green construction and floriculture, Flora. The Square of Karbyshev. It is broken on crossing of streets of the 10 years of October and Pushkin on the place of the demolished church for the sake of Michael of Klotsk. In 1961 in the square the monument to D.M. Karbyshev is established. The Square of Mykharin. It is broken in 1957 on all length of Museya Street, having connected Lenin Street and Gorilla. Pervermaysky Square. It is arranged in 1953 on crossing of streets of Lenin and Tarskaya at Tarsky Gate of the Second Omsk Fortress. In the depth of the square the bronze sculptural group was established -5.1. Lenin and I, 5. Stalin it is dismantled. In 1957 in the square the small fountain was constructed. On November 24, 1991 in the square the memorial stone to the victims of Stalin repressions is established. The Square of F.E. Dzerzhinsky. It is broken into the area of F. Dzerzhinsky in the spring of 1944. In 1958 the center of the square decorated the fountain consisting of the round granite basin and a pig iron bowl of the difficult drawing. The Square of Pavlik Morozov. It is broken on crossing of streets of Lenin, Herzen and International. In 1955 I-5. Stalin's monument was established here dismantled. Today on this place is steel in honor of rewarding with awards of the Omsk region and the city of Omsk. On October 16, 1994 in the square the monument to the victims of Massachusetts political repressions is open. Architect M. Hakayev. Square of Pioneers. The successor of the oldest gardens existing in the 18th century. In the 1920th years was called International. In 1930, bore a name of D. Bulatov. Improvement of the square began in 1936. In March 1936 the sculpture, The Children Feeding Penguins, subsequently was established. Pavilions, sports grounds, the pool in which center the deer figure was established or built. In 1996 in the square the collar organ fountain was mounted. For many years the square was an installation site of a city New Year tree. Disappeared from the map of the city of Omsk in 2005 in connection with the beginning of works on restoration of Assumption Cathedral. Yubileyny Square. It is mortgaged in 1999 on the place of the former garden of S.M. Kirov. In the square the memorable sign is established. Wheel couple of the engine and ship anchor. There is a square near St. Nicholas and Cathedral. The square at VSD Square. It is located between streets the first the Red Star, the first Mariinovskaya and the former movie theater, Mayor, Thieves near the building. Square of Friendship of the People. It is located on Krasny Put Street on the place of the former Garden of Sibzavod. The square of the 50th anniversary of the All-Union Leninist Young Communist League. It is broken in 1968 on Mira Avenue in a northeast part of the former cemetery of the settlement of Zaklamino. On October 29, 1968 in the square the memorable sign with the capsule containing the message of Youth of 2018 is established. On October 26, 2018, after solemn opening of the capsule, the memorable sign is destroyed by city administration as lost relevance. Square of Veterans is on crossing of Himikov Street and Mendeleev Avenue. In 2001 in the territory of the square the Orthodox Church of the Vernacle of the Image is consecrated. It is constructed on the project of the architect M. Akayev. Square of Newlyweds. It is located near Wedding Palace of the Soviet District on crossing of streets 22 April and 50 years of October. In the square the steel, 15 years to Sovietsky Administrative District is established. In 2019 in the square art objects are established. Sculpture, Lovers in the Rain, Reconciliation Bench. The square of 1. Panfilev. It is located on crossing of streets of Panfilev and Boulevard. In the square the memorial to Heroes Panfilev's Men is established. Square of the 70th anniversary of the victory. It is located on crossing of Zaziorna Street and Mendeleev Avenue. On June 22, 2016, in day of the 75th anniversary of the beginning of the Great Patriotic War, in the square the sculptural composition, Trains of Our Memory is open. Sport. Omsk Arena, the main ice arena of the city. In Omsk there take place sporting events of the most different level, from children's domestic to international. Among the most popular Massachusetts track and field athletics actions, the Siberian International Marathon, the Omsk Semi-Marathon Handicap and the Christmas Semi-Marathon. On Arenas Omsk 2007-2018. At there took place matches of the East Group and the Super Final of the International Tournament of the Children's Kietel Teams, Cup of Gazprom Neft, one of the largest children's hockey competitions of Europe. In 2016, 26 teams from Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Latvia and Finland participated in it. From 2011 to 2013 in Omsk there took place the World Cup among youth club teams. In the Continental Hockey League Avangard acts. At the moment the building of Arena Omsk is demolished. On its place the new building of the ice arena will be built. On the official site of Arena Omsk, online broadcast of construction is conducted. Also the equestrian sport. Omsk, the only city is popular in Siberia where the full-fledged hippodrome having strong school of a training of horses works. In July 2014 on the Omsk Hippodrome there took place the All-Russian Horse Festival. Also here the qualifying tournament on the World Cup stage and the All-Russian Equestrian Sport Tournament, the Omsk Jumping, passing on an equal basis with tournaments of Moscow and Street.
Petersburg is held. In Konkani competitions, continuity of generations. After parents their children act is observed. Sports results of the international level are noted. In the direction of single combats, Omsk has solid reputation, including in universal fight. Residents of Omsk of both sexes do martial arts. Also the boxing is developed. The two-time Olympic champion Alexei Tishenko is widely known.
From 1968 to 2003 there took place the boxing tournament of Malontsev, in whom the Olympic champion Alexander Lebiek, the champion of the USSR Alexander Ostrovsky and already mentioned Alexei Tishenko participated.
In 2016 the management of Boxing Federation and Omsk Petropland resumed competitions. In a tournament on superiority in Siberian Federal District, 120 junior boxers participate in 11 weight categories.
Since 2006 the aeronautic sport develops. Residents can play sports at school stadiums and complexes of the exercise machines located on 7 city streets, on embankments and in the parks, Green Island, and the 300 anniversaries of Omsk. Besides, in Omsk there are a 50-meter pool and 19 25-meter pools. Omsk gave to Russia several Olympic champions. Viktor Blynev, the Olympic champion in hockey of 1968. Gennady Komnatov, the Olympic champion in a command cycle race on 100 kilometers. 1972. Ivan Dvorny, the Olympic champion in basketball of 1972. Alexander Muzichenko, the champion of 1980 in sailing of the class Star. Evgenia Kanaeva, the two-time Olympic champion in rhythmic gymnastics of 2008 and 2012. And Sergei Kalinin, the Olympic champion in hockey of 2018. Vitlana Batsarevkina, the two-time Olympic champion of Tokyo 2020 in firing from an air and small caliber gun, 10M and 25M. The silver prize winner of the Olympic Games of 2016 in firing from an air gun, the world champion of 2018. Such Omsk athletes as the fighter Alexander Pushnitsa, the swimmer Roman Sludnov, the boxer Alexei Tishenko, the gymnast Irina Chashchina, the shooter Dmitry Lykin are around the world known. One of symbols of Omsk is Lyubovka sitting on Lyubinsky Avenue, the sculpture embodying an image of Lyubov Fyodorovna Gasford, the second wife of the Governor-General of Western Siberia G.H. Gasford. Very musical. The woman died young due to illness, and in the people about her remembered as very clever and kind. She is connected also with the beginning of transformation of Omsk into the Garden City. According to a legend, the forest area of Lubin Grove was landed the gas for the ambassador of her death on the place where Lyubovka usually walked. Residents of Omsk consider the city the third capital of Russia. Sources of this idea lie in importance of Omsk as administrative center of the steppes connecting the Siberian north and the Russian west to the steppe south and the east since the 18th century. It was the boundary city, the important transport hub. The pre-revolutionary status of the city and its infrastructure, among other things, defined its formation by the capital of the Russian state and White Russia in 1918-1919 that strengthened an image of Omsk as temporary Russian capital, the third capital, or, at Bolsheviks, capital of Kolchikia. However, for this reason later the Soviet power transferred all capital functions of Omsk to the next little Novonikolayevsk, Novosibirsk. The My Team, the third capital, was created at the end of the 20th century, on a wave of interest in the white movement.
A number of scientists, media and the regional power represent the period of White Omsk as a triumphal event, while contemporaries even on Kolchak's party were inclined to consider it as traumatic.
The Omsk photographer Z. 1. Stanova imprinted the winter, white capital, is realistic, and the city was remembered by it to citizens and future white Russians. Despite support of the idea at the level of the region, some residents of Omsk are proud of the white capital, but others are not present. The associate director of the Siberian branch of Institute of Cultural Science Dmitry Alisov notes that the rank, third capital, was imposed to the city artificially, and Kolchak's government was very short-term and not all supported.
Nevertheless, the idea that Omsk is worthy to be the special city expatiates in the present, especially among youth, more and more widely.
There are various epithets of a similar type. For example, the organizer of Battle Socialdans Marina Kopylova called it the third dancing capital, and because of abundance of theaters, Omsk is described as the theatrical capital of Siberia. Also there is the Omsk social and political weekly, Tretya Stolitsa. Despite it, the patent for use of the trademarks, third capital, and analogues in 2009 was issued by Rospatin to other city, Kazan. In the past, Omsk was known as Garden City, the city of youth, the city of science.
In such quality it was shown in the German movie of 1963, The Russian Miracle, clearly demonstrating economic breakthrough of the USSR.
According to the deputy of the Omsk City Council Vladimir Gerchik, by 2011 these brands completely disappeared and there is no sense in their resuming.
According to the Vice President of Organization, ISIC Omsk, for the entering social training of Valeria Necheva, Omsk is almost unknown for foreigners and at best 4 seasons playing for the Omsk Avangard are associated with snow and the hockey player Yaromir Jagr. The most widespread stereotype about Omsk among residents of other states, extremely frigid climate and a small amount of light.
Also foreigners believe that they live tough and friendly people and that everything, as well as everywhere in Russia, drink vodka. Foreign city visitors speak of it as about mystically frightening magic.
Hospitality of residents of Omsk, the main factor because of which foreign guests agree to arrive and subsequently want to visit the Siberian city again, which is noted.
Actors of Royal Circus of Jaya Eradzi also speak about hospitality, speaking of the Omsk viewer as about very warm, and the residents of the next Novosibirsk noting that residents of Omsk are able to be on friendly terms and help without demanding money.
In the repertoire of the Omsk State Russian National Choir there is a song, The World to You and This Kind, in which residents of Omsk are described as lovely people. They are rich with kindness and hospitality.
Also residents of Novosibirsk noted that residents of Omsk look elegantly always, irrespectively a season and time of day, and the fighter Jeff Monson estimated residents of Omsk as strong and kind people. At the same time in media and the internet there was a negative image of residents. Omsk and its problems are regularly derided by inhabitants of other regions. The meme Omsk bird represents the infernal character connected with drug addiction. Because of infamous cafe Everest, on the internet the nicknames Sadomsk and Debauchery Citadel appeared. Also the familiar expression, contacts Omsk, do not try to leave Omsk,
become especially popular after the memorial sphere at Buckhole Square was nearly left during a hurricane. At the same time, Robert Rozdestvensky wrote about Omsk, the city of the childhood song sung by Edita Pika, in whose text it is impossible to return to it. Other well-known song about Omsk, The Omsk Streets, was written in 1959 by Mikhail Silvanovich and Vyacheslav Kosak, students of the Omsk Agricultural Institute.
After the song on the Omsk television was sung by Lyubov Yermolieva, the Omsk streets began to sound everywhere in the city, including in parks and by walking motorships. They were broadcasted in Moscow, and residents of Omsk performed it even in trips abroad. The song was included into the repertoire of the soloist of the Omsk Philharmonic Hall Svetlana Borodina. Most of all verses on Omsk were written by Robert Rozdestvensky and Leonid Martynov, who grew up here. Rozdestvensky, Eguletov and Fyodor Dostoevsky also wrote about the Omsk dust, a characteristic problem of the steppe city. In addition, Omsk is known as Asgardi Uriski.
This idea comes from the extremist book Slavyano-Ruski Veda, belonging to the forbidden sect of Old Russian Englisticheski Church of Orthodox Conservatives Inglingov.
The author of the book, Alexander Heinovich, the resident and the founder of sect, positions the book as the collection of sacred texts. According to it, on the place of Omsk once there was an ancient city which was the capital of the ancient world. At the same time, archaeological excavations under the city do not find any secret underpasses, unlike rich finds of a Bronze Age.
To the 300th anniversary of Omsk in 2016, the Bank of Russia released a silver commemorative coin of 3 rubles.
In 2016, to the 300th anniversary of the city, by request of the city administration, the documentary Omsk was created. City Day, Director Vladimir Golovnyov. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.